We'll wait for a couple of more minutes, and then we'll kickstart, Kyle. Christian. I saw Adele joining in, and then she got locked off, I think.
Is she facing some network issue? In fact, Aziz is also trying to join, but having some difficulty.
Okay, shall I just again send the invite to both of them? Okay, Adele is here.
Hey, Adele, she has the invite. She said someone needs to let her in.
Okay.
Yeah, she's there. She's there.
Hi, Adele. I think you're on mute.
Yes, hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Wish you a very good morning.
Oh, good morning to, or good day to you. Not morning, I don't know what time it is, where you are.
Yeah, it is already evening here, and good morning, Adele. Yeah. We're waiting for Aziz to join in.
So, Adele, are you in the UK?
No, I'm actually in New Jersey.
Okay. I know
So
Aziz is in the UK.
Aziz and you.
Oh, okay. So where's the Christian? Where are you?
I'm in India, in Calcutta right now.
Oh, you're in Calcutta. Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
And FinTram, you're in?
So this side, Pankaj Dhingra, and I'm again from Delhi, India.
Oh, okay.
So Adele, FinTram is a Becker sub. So they use Becker material, I believe, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So a question for you then, do you, as a Becker sub, do you also get the disclosed items from us?
Can you repeat, Adele?
Do you get information from Becker in the US?
So any information that come to Becker US, gets circulated down to, all of the, providers, and, on the same lines, we also get the same.
Okay.
Shall I call Aziz, just to make sure that, I'll just call it.
Yeah. He is trying to join. I'm waiting to be let in, Pankaj. Just check.
Waiting to be?
Let in.
Is he?
The
No,
organizer.
I think he is. He'll be joining in a minute.
Okay.
Hi, Aziz sir.
Hi everyone. Good evening, good morning. I'm so sorry about that.
Hi, Aziz. Good evening. Good afternoon to you. Sorry, you're in UK.
Hi, Aziz.
Hi.
Good day.
Oh, hi Adele. How are you? Lovely to
I'm
see
doing
you.
well. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. I mean, I know now what subject I need to do in the evolution. I need to do the information systems one because I got this wrong. My technology was a bit wrong there. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's
Kyle,
okay.
good morning.
Hey, good afternoon.
How you doing?
I'm
Good to see
doing
you, sir.
well. And hey,
Good.
that's the good thing about the evolution. You can go for information systems if you think that's your strong, or if you find out that's your weak point, then you
That's
can
my
switch to a
weak
different
point.
discipline if you don't pass.
Exactly. Oh, fantastic. Well, what time is it for you, Adele? Where are you based?
I'm in New Jersey,
Okay.
so it's after 8:39.
Yeah, and I'm an hour. I'm in the central time zone in Nashville, Tennessee,
Central.
so it's 7:39 a.m. where
Yeah.
I'm at.
But I'm
I
an
know
early bird, so I've been up for 3 hours already, so it's okay.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Fantastic. Good. How are we looking, Pankaj? Oh, you got a big crowd today.
Yes, I think some of the folks are still joining in, and we have many on the YouTube also because this is going live. So that's again wherein folks have been looking around. And of course, thanks all of you for joining in. Very warm welcome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever we are. Where we all are at, and it's very unique kind of a meeting wherein good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. All three of them are together in terms of the location we are at. So really warm welcome to all of you, and of course warm welcome to all of our audience, or the students as we may call it. This is gonna be a I would say very important session, I'm sure for many of the students, primarily because we all know the reason that US CPA evolution has been the talk of the town and the country and the countries, if I may say that. Because this is something that is touching many of the folks around the world, and we really needed a session like this to really help FinTram students, and of course the students at large, to really understand as to what does this really mean for them, and how would they really need to be grappling, and of course ensuring that they really have the right course of action with them. And for that, I have, the very excited and eminent panel over here with me. And, the only, I would say, thing that anybody and everybody should look at from this kind of a session is that you should certainly be opening your heart and mind in terms of putting things across in the form of questions to all of us, so that we can really manage and of course handle in the best possible way. And guys, just to help you all, we have somebody from NASPA, and I'll quickly go and introduce him very soon. I do have somebody from AICPA. I do have somebody from Becker, and whosoever is registered and of course studying with us, they would certainly understand what Becker really brings onto the table. And we really wanted all of us to be here to so that we all can be on one table for all of you to really handle all your queries and concerns that you may really have. So, it is certainly to be looked upon in terms of, what you may have in your mind. We are certainly there. And of course, we have the right folks over here who can really help you in terms of, really going well in your journey. I'll just quickly bring on my, some of the slides that I just prepared, just to make sure that, we have some rule to the presentation today in terms of, how would this flow in. I want to put across the agenda that I really have on plate today. I of course, this has to be started off with a welcome note. We at FinTram, we have so many students around the world, and this is something, which is certainly there for you guys. So, a warm welcome to all of you. In terms of joining us at different time zones, and of course a warm welcome to all of our panelists to really taking out time from their busy schedule and being over here. We'll certainly start off with the introduction. So I do want to give I would say all of the panelists an opportunity to introduce themselves, because that's gonna be something that everybody would is looking forward to, because they really need to know in terms of who they really have to go forward to. And if they really hear from you, all of you, they can really contemplate and understand as to what that really would have for them in terms of how they have to carry out their journey. And then we do want to ask the Adele and Kyle, the AICPA and NASPA the representatives who are here, to really take us through the entire CPA evolution journey, and of course evaluation process also, in terms of how does that get impacted, so that we can really understand in terms of what does that really means for us. Because many of you, I'm sure, and somewhere in some way or the other would have that in your mind in terms of how does this evolution is going to be impacting me. And guys, all I can tell you, the gentlemen and the guests that I have, on today with me, they can really help you in terms of, coming up the curve and do the best, of yourself and perform to the best of the possibilities. And, we do have, the Aziz and the Christian over here from Becker, and, I'm sure, many of you are studying with Becker now, so you can very well understand, how Becker has been helping you, and of course the students around the world. So we thought that it is all the more a good opportunity to bring, the Becker folks over here, so that we can talk to them in terms of, how are they getting equipped in terms of, dealing with those, evolution things that are really happening around the corner. So we thought that, it is all the more, vital for them to be here. And then, once we have had a discussion with them, the questions with them, the chats with them, then is the time wherein, we will open up, the toll gate, for all of you to ask the questions from us, anything that really comes to your mind. And of course, we'll not stop you, putting across the question. Anything that really comes into your mind, you can put that onto the chat box. We'll be more than happy to pick it up towards the end when we'll open up the Q&A session. With that, I would urge and of course start off what I really wanted to bring onto the table. I'll quickly ask the Adele to really introduce herself, and of course share in terms of what the people would like to know about her, and of course what how can we help as a team together in their CPA journey.
Okay, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, very well.
Good day to you, wherever you are. And thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today. And my goal today is to bring you up to date or to demystify any questions or concerns that you might have about CPA evolution. I've been with the AICPA for quite a long time, so I've seen the exam change from when it was paper-based to what it is today. So I hope that you can find this information useful.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Adele, for that.
You're
Going on to Kyle, can you just take it on and of course introduce yourself, Kyle?
Yes. Hi. Thank you. Thanks for having me here today, FinTram and Becker. It's always great to be able to help promote the US CPA credential, as we have seen it grow pretty rapidly, especially in India and in other markets across the world. I am the Associate Director of our NASBA International Evaluation Services, and I oversee day-to-day process, also strategic planning for that. And I've been at NASBA now for 12 plus years, so happy to be here, and hopefully I can help clarify the process, some of the deadlines, the different things that are happening in the world.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you very much. Very well needed. We really need that, and I'm sure, the output that we have from this presentation, from this, webinar is going to be very helpful to the fraternity at large. So really thank you for making up time for that. Going on to Aziz, more from the, I know Aziz personally any which ways, but, it is always good to, have introduction from yourself, Aziz.
Thank you. Thanks, Pankaj. Lovely to be in the panel here with Kyle and Adele, and they are the real experts here. And I think I just wanted to echo this, that this is your opportunity to get any doubts you've got cleared. And I'm sure you've been hearing so much about CPA evolution for the past months, probably years even, right? So please make the most of this time. This is about putting you at ease. And I think that's what our job is here today and will be for the next few months as well. I should have introduced myself first. Aziz, it's there anyway. That's who I am, Director of Becker's International Business. And really, I'm not important. Becker is important. Becker are your guide, I guess, they're going to be there to hold your hand as you become CPAs. Making sure that you're well equipped with all the knowledge, skills, and expertise you need to pass the exams, those wonderful exams that Adele and Kyle produce. Tough to make sure that you're a proper CPA and you're fit for purpose, and Becca's there to help you do that. And we've been working on the CPA evolution for the longest time as well, just again to make sure that you're in the best place to sit those exams, pass them first time, and really, accelerate your careers as a result of it. Thanks, Pankaj. Pankaj, I think you've frozen.
Yeah, Pankaj, I think he's facing some network issue, probably. Yeah.
Chris, why don't you introduce yourself,
I think,
and then we'll kind of move on.
Sure, I think that would be a good idea. Thank you, Aziz, and thanks, Kyle and Adele, for making it to this webinar. I know it's early morning for you, and thanks to all the students and people who are looking forward to either pursuing the CPA qualification or they are already pursuing. My name is Krishan Mishra. I'm the country head international business for Becker. And as Aziz said, Becker is your guide. Becker is going to be with you throughout your CPA journey. In fact, beyond that too, whenever you need any help, Becker is always there. Because once you complete your CPA qualification, you'll need a lot of support on your continued professional education. And we are there to take care of that too. In fact, we have been doing that for more than 16 years. But yes, today is the day for you to understand more about evolution and how it is going to impact you. I know change is always difficult, but yes, let's embrace it in the best possible manner. Thank you. Pankaj, back to you. Pankaj, if you're able to hear me. Okay, I think Pankaj is facing some difficulty in terms of network. What we can do is that Kyle, Adele, shall we move to the presentation straight?
Yep. Yeah, we can skip to that part, and that will cover most of the agenda, and then go back to, or he can jump in if Pankaj regains connection. So
Yeah.
one moment, I will share my screen.
Kyle, how would you prefer it? Kyle, Adele, both of you, I know you've got some presentations to run. Do you want questions like in the chat, or should we leave it to the end? Do you prefer it at the end? You tell us.
Yeah. I mean, I would say they could put some in the chat just so you could read them at the end. And if you guys want to jump in with a question at a stopping point, like, so I will turn it over to Adele at the halfway mark, and maybe I could answer a couple. And then, or we could save them to the end, whatever you guys want. It's your webinar.
No, that's fine. So we'll do that. So everyone, I think the message is, if you've got any burning questions, put them in the chat. We'll collate them and ask them towards the end. We'll make sure there's enough time. But if there's something based on a certain subject which is really, being spoken about the time, then I'll put my hand up, or one of us will put a hand up.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Kyle. Appreciate it. Pankaj, we can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was requesting Kyle only to, just if possible, take the charge and of course, start presenting. So he already, started doing that.
Okay. Well, great. I will get started. And so to start out, just overview of what Adele and myself will be covering. So you see the eligibility requirements and some general guidance, transition information, as there are some changes in place to a lot of them are to ease the process. 2023 BEC and exam deadlines, which are coming upon very quickly. And then I will turn it over to Adele to cover CPA evolution, the new model, exam content and structure, exam strategy, resources, and some Q&A. So this is something I have in pretty much every presentation, so I keep going over it. You've probably seen this before, but what does it take to become eligible to be a US CPA? It's not just education, it's not just passing the exam, but we commonly refer to this as the 4 E's. Starting with the education, then the examination, that's passing the CPA exam, experience, that's having the appropriate work experience, and then the 4th E is the ethics exam. The AICPA actually offers this, and it's depending on the jurisdiction that you're applying to, it may or may not require that. But those are the 4 E's. Once you have completed those, then that's when you can obtain that US CPA license and call yourself a US CPA. So starting with that first E, the education, that is like obtaining the 150 overall semester credits and having the appropriate accounting and business hours within that. Then you can qualify, pass the CPA exam. The work experience, that is generally 1 year of accounting experience, sometimes 2, depending on the jurisdiction, but 1 to 2 years working as an accountant under a US CPA. And then the ethics exam. So let's talk about a little bit with starting the process with NASBA International Evaluation Services. That is my department, and what we do is equate your higher education that you obtain from outside the US to its equivalents in the US education system. That way, the Board of Accountancy can determine if you're eligible to be a CPA. It basically puts on the same playing field as a US transcript, and they can easily see how many accounting courses you have, what type of course, how many credits, what your degree is equivalent to. Is your university or college a properly accredited school outside the US that we can compare to a school here? And so that's what we do. So currently, the turnaround time, what we're doing with that is once your documents arrive at NASBA, it's 2 weeks right now. I'm looking to get that to 1 week, especially as we approach the deadlines, and that should happen soon. But 2 weeks to match it with your application, and that's your NIES International Evaluation application. And then approximately 6 weeks to complete the evaluation and have that report available to the Board of Accountancy. And now looking at the education that it takes, because this is always a hot topic. And, I work a lot with FinTram, Becker. They help students with this as well. My department's always willing to help. But to make sure, candidates like, well, am I eligible to take it? And I don't know. And it can be a little bit of a decisive topic because not every single board of accountancy is the same. And so knowing the specific requirements for each board, I know that there are some that we see a higher volume of international, not just because education requirements, but they may not require a social security number or residency. And obviously, if you're living in India and going to take the exam in India or another country, you probably don't have a US social security number. So that's very important. But also the education. So we have some candidates with the BCom, maybe a 3-year bachelor degree. And so just to get your foot in the door and start the process of exam, it could be possible for maybe Montana, or you may need to do what's popular as like a bridge course with Guam. But that's something that questions about that, you know, my department, we answer some of those. FinTram could potentially help guide you. I know they do that some because I've met with them and we've talked about the same topics. But you also have, let's say BCom, MCom, that's the 3+2 after 12 years. So that will get you the 150. That should have plenty of accounting credits. And you see all the combinations here that we commonly see. Even if you are in India and you're a CA, you know, that's something for some of the boards of accountancy. We compare that as well and can give credit on the report depending on the jurisdiction. So you can see the combinations here. We deal with these quite a bit. India is growing since 2020. We started testing in June of 2020. So we see this a lot. So let's talk about some of the transition relief. So this is something, here's a map. It's of the United States. There are the 55 jurisdictions that issue the CPA license. And if you are currently in the pipeline and have taken the CPA exam and you have passed the section already, and you still have that credit. So if that credit has not expired for that section, you still have it on January 1st, 2024, that will be automatically extended until June of 2025. And you see the map here, every single jurisdiction has approved it and put that into rule. Those are the green ones. And if you look at the gold ones, there are 4 jurisdictions like California, Arizona, Michigan, and Florida, who the board has approved it, but they're just going through the rulemaking process before they can have that officially done. And the only jurisdiction that has not had a chance to meet yet and approve that is Maine. So that's a great relief for candidates. If you have a credit, it's going to be extended. And this is the only CPA evolution stuff I will cover, but because as you know, January 1st, BEC is going away. It's turning into, well, it's not turning into anything, but it's the 3 disciplines are taking the place of BEC. So you have the BAR, the ISC, and the TCP. And you still have the 3 core sections being audit, FAR, and reg. So that's the big change that's happening. And that's a nice visual that's been out there for a while. You've probably seen this before. Adele will go into a little more detail with this. Let's look at some of the timeline leading up to CPA evolution. Earlier this year, the AI CPA released the new exam blueprints, which Adele will cover in her presentation. That's really can help you prepare for those new sections, those new disciplines, and the 3 core sections. We met with review course providers earlier this year in March. Some of these dates that we're talking about recently finalized this summer at the end of June. The new sample tests will be coming out soon as well. And internally, you see here, NASBA is launching a new system for the CPA exam services and our gateway, which issues a notice of schedule and the scores. So that will be really great. It'll help simplify the process, I think, for candidates, because you have one user account with the international team, which is mine. And then the only other one you need to do is with what we call the OCTA. It's where you can go in and get your notice of schedule, your scores, and they will now determine the eligibility within that. So you won't have to have multiple other user accounts for that. So that'll be nice, streamline the process. And then in November, that's when BEC, you will not be able to get a notice of schedule. So after November 15th, you won't be able to do that. And I believe it's the 22nd of November is when you'll be able to apply for one of the new disciplines to take it in 2024. And then December 16th, 2023 is when the blackout for testing begins, from December 16th to this January 9th. The exam, you will not be able to take it at a Prometric test center. And so just to really confirm the dates and the information with the new system. So the CPA portal is replacing CPA Central as of September 1st. And that is within the gateway. So it's the same place that you can go to get your NTS and scores once you take the exam. So that will be great. July 28th. So that was a date that we originally requested to have all documents. If you've seen that date, we've talked to our IT team and we can actually migrate open applications. So we encourage you, if you're in the process now, get your documents in so we don't have as much to migrate. But we can migrate those over to our new system now. So there will be a period while we're transitioning to the gateway where you cannot apply. And that's August 21st to 28th. And this is apply for the CPA exam. This is, the next step after international evaluation. And then our national candidate database, which is that gateway, which is where you print your notice of schedule and see your scores, will be down for those 3 days, August 25th to 28th. So this is very important. If you have an exam scheduled during those 3 days, make sure you've saved and printed your notice of schedule now. Don't wait until the day of your test, because you will not be able to get in the system to get it. So that's very important. We don't want anyone not able to take their exam because they don't have their notice of schedule. So the transition timeline, I'm sorry, I should have removed the still tentative, but this information is out there. It's November 15th is when we stop processing the authorizations to test, which is the ATT for BEC. So BEC, you will no longer be able to get a notice of schedule for BEC after that date, which is when, so for candidates already approved, we tell them they must do their re-exam application by November 12th. There's a November 22nd date where we start processing these authorizations to test for those new 3 disciplines. And then December 15th, the last day of testing in 2023. So there you have that blackout window from December 16th to January 9th. And so one of the big things is the deadline. So if, I know a lot of people preparing to take evolution going into 2024, but there are still some we've seen this summer really coming in trying to take the exam in 2023. So those deadlines, we've gotten a lot of boards on the same page, and most of the jurisdictions have a October 1st deadline to apply for the CPA exam. So that's where you have to have your documents submitted to CPA exam services, and you have to pay the fee for that first time application fee and whatever test section it is. I know BEC has been a popular one, but it could be any of the sections. So what that does is give them time to make sure you're eligible and have the notice of schedule generated in early November, so you can schedule that exam later in November or even in December. And so, every jurisdiction may have a slightly different, they can do what they want with their timelines and their applications. So the majority of them are October 1st. And I highlighted the ones that we see more international volume. There still are some that are to be determined, that we're working on getting that information. And then you see a few down at the bottom that gave us a different timeline. So not many, but you can see the dates here. Most are October 1st. So I hope that information is helpful for you. So another hot topic, talk about the 18 months that you have once you have passed a CPA exam section. Currently, you have 18 months to pass the remaining 3. And if you don't pass the remaining 3 in the 18 months, then you would lose that credit for that initial section that you passed. So NASBA put a model rule out for exposure, and it had pretty popular, a lot of comments. And eventually what we did was we ended up suggesting and adopting in the UAA to go from 18 months to 30 months. And so now, just because we did that doesn't mean that it's immediately in effect. It's up to the boards of accountancy to then adopt that rule or adopt that suggestion in the UAA as a rule. And the next slide I have is a map showing that many are starting to do that, but it's not a fast process. So a lot of boards have already met and voted to go to 30 months. So here's a map. Now, just because they voted that and approved it, they now have to put that into rule. And so that's in a process. I don't have an exact timeline on that. So the jurisdictions in gold, like Arizona, Tennessee, you can see all of those. They have voted to go to 30 months, and they're in the process of making that part of their rules. The blue states have just not voted on it yet, but they should be meeting this year. And we think this is gaining traction, and so we will continue to update this as we get information, and also put this on our website so it's public information. So that's starting to gain that traction now. More boards are meeting, and that's really what it does, is take and extends it an extra year. So right now you have 18 months, give that another year, and that's how we got to the 30 months. And pass your first section, then you would potentially have 30 months to pass the remaining 3 if your board of accountancy adopts that, which you can see here, it's gaining that traction. They're meeting, they're voting on it, etc. So once the new exam starts, CPA Evolution 2024, it will not immediately go to continuous testing. And this is something where starting January 10th, testing will resume for the core sections and the disciplines, but you can see here that we'll have windows for a little bit. Now, I think once we have more robust data on scoring the exam, the hope is to get back to continuous testing as soon as possible, but it won't be that at first. So you can see here, you could take the core sections from January 10th to March 26th in the first quarter, and take a little bit longer to get your scores. Those will come out June 3rd. And not quite as long to take the disciplines. So from January 10th to February 6th will be the first window to test for disciplines. And then those scores will come out a little sooner. And then you can see how it opens back up to take those disciplines and take the core sections. Each quarter, you can see that window on this chart. All right. And so if there, I don't know if Becker or anyone had anything that came up they would want addressed immediately, or if not, we can wait till the end and I will turn it over to Adele to dive more into the evolution.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. I think there's a couple of questions here which I think quite suitable that we could kind of nip in the bud now before we move to Adele. Adele, if you're comfortable with that, let's see if we can kind of handle these. There's a question from Himanshu, which I think you covered in your slides, but Himanshu, if it was not clear, Himanshu's question was, what is the last day to register for the old course? I think in terms of the exams and registering with NASBRA, I think Kyle covered that quite well in a couple of slides. Himanshu, go on, Kyle, please, yeah.
So yeah, and it never hurts to confirm that again, because there's different areas that have different dates. And so, so if you need to go through the international evaluation process, we're really pushing on that timeline. So I need to have candidates apply with my department for an international evaluation by August 4th and have their documents sent to us and arrive. And that gives us plenty of time to have an evaluation completed prior to October 1st. And now October 1st is the deadline to apply as a first-time candidate for that exam section. I'm assuming the old course maybe is BEC. And because you will not, after that, you will not be able to apply for BEC as a first-time candidate. Now, if you want to take one of the 3 core sections, in 2023, you need to also follow those same dates. But those core sections, your notice to schedule, will go into 2024. So if you don't have time, you can still take those core sections in 2024. It's just not like that with BEC. because your BEC notice of schedule only goes until December 15th, and then no one can take BEC again.
Brilliant. Kyle, I think that's it. That's the key message is around these next basically couple of weeks, basically, is in terms of, you know, getting those things. If you're a new student, if you're a new entrant in terms of that type of thing. Just lingering on that point for a second, Pankaj, is there anything that you want to kind of message out to students who are going to come to FinTram and, you know, thinking about which courses to take and how you yourself, how FinTram are going to, you know, structuring their courses around that?
Yeah, and you know, this is something which is very well, you know, taken care from the standpoint of ensuring that, you know, what is changing, and you know, considering that, you know, there are certain things that are changing, you know, in the coming months. You know, we have started off considering that in our mind in terms of, you know, what is to be covered first. So for example, most of our students right now at this point in time are finishing their BEC, and they have been mandated, as Kyle has been rightfully saying, that, you know, August 4 is the date, you know, by which they should be applying all the documents and everything to, you know, to be sent to NASBA, so that, you know, the entire process gets over. And from before the 1st October, they have to really apply for, you know, sitting out and getting on their NTS so that they can really sit for the exam prior to 15th of December, come what may. So that's in a nutshell what we have been following, and most of our students, you know, have been following the same approach per se. But of course, you know, the new students who are really joining us, especially at this point in time, who wants to appear for BEC, you know, there is a question that really comes onto their mind that, you know, now we are starting off with an exam, and you know, now we are starting off our US CPA journey. Can we appear for BEC? And you know, to that, our answer is that, you know, it'll be really tough for now, you know, in terms of, you know, if you're really getting on to the board right now and starting off with BEC, it's really tough. So we always suggest them that, you know, the subject that is changing the least is audit. So we will be starting off with the audit in this particular year, and then of course, you know, going on to the FAR and to the other subjects as we really go forward. And that's what, you know, is going to be the strategy that, you know, that is strongly recommended to the candidates, and that's something that we're really following rigorously.
Yeah, definitely. Well put, because if they really want to get in for BEC, you know, they need to start like Monday for sure, like get their school to send us the documents by courier or by email, because it's only a week for me to really be able to be sure we can get it done, because I don't want to make a guarantees after August 4th for doing the international evaluation. So really tight window if you have to start with the international evaluation still. Start that on Monday or whenever with your school, like this weekend or Monday, to get them to issue those documents to us, and then apply online.
Absolutely. I'm just in the interest of time, Adele, I think it's probably best if you kind of move on. Some of the questions that I've seen, I would recommend that if we don't get time to answer them today, I'll try to answer some in the chat. Pankaj, I think it's important that everybody on this call knows that they can contact the FinTram counselors, administration team to get the responses to some of those specific questions, like, you know, about the Lucknow University, Delhi University, those specifics. No one knows it better than the FinTram team. I'm sure Carl can help, but I don't want to get Carl get caught up into like specifics. And also some of the other questions around fee structures, all of those things. That's for FinTram. If we get some time to answer them, we'll answer them today, but I really want Adele to kind of have plenty of time to kind of go through her slides as well. Adele, over to you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Again, this is Adele, and I will provide you with information to demystify any questions or concerns that you might have about CPA Evolution that will be launched January 10th of 2024. CPA Evolution is an initiative between NASBA and the US CPA, and we spoke to over 4,000 stakeholders from across the profession to gather input on how to transform CPA licensure. We conducted a practice analysis, which is a formal research project to define the knowledge and skills required of newly licensed CPAs. The ASCPA used focus groups, we used interviews, as well as regular meetings with the Board of Examiners and its committees and subcommittees to update what we now call the blueprint, and I'll go into detail about the blueprint further in this presentation. Now, this model that you see here accommodates the expanded knowledge base by allowing for the fundamental knowledge and skills to be assessed of all CPA candidates, and then providing the disciplines with additional content focus in particular areas of practice and interest. So as you can see here, we have the core section that Kyle had mentioned, accounting, auditing, and tax, with technology intertwined between the three sections. And then we have the 4 disciplines: tax compliance and planning, business analysis and reporting, and information systems and controls. Next slide, please. As you can see here, the skills that resulted from our practice analysis that newly licensed CPAs are expected to have are newly licensed CPAs are expected to have a digital and data-driven mindset, including data analytics, some technical accounting knowledge, IT and cybersecurity. As we all know, IT and cybersecurity are high on our radar right now. With respect to cybersecurity and IT, I know we all have a cell phone, and we must protect ourselves through IT. We need to have critical thinking and problem-solving ability. Now, critical thinking is very important, and as CPAs, we must exercise critical thinking. We must understand the business process and controls and business acumen. We must understand the business process from its inception, from beginning to end. How does all that information intertwine with each other so that we can make useful, informative decisions, and as we work with clients, provide them with the information that they need. The new licensure model, core and disciplines, as you can see here, under the CPA evolution licensure model, all candidates will be required to pass the 3 core sections. Excuse me?
Sorry, by mistake.
Oh, okay. All candidates are required to pass the 3 core sections, as I mentioned earlier: auditing, accounting, and taxation, with technology intertwined. And each candidate will choose a discipline. TCP, which is tax compliance and planning, as I mentioned, business analysis and reporting, and information systems and control. Now, each of the disciplines, the candidate will demonstrate knowledge and skill in those particular areas. So if you're someone who, let's say today, you are very good at information systems and controls or IT, you might want to take that. If you are very good at tax compliance and planning, if you have intimate knowledge about tax compliance, you might want to take the TCP section. So the disciplines focus on a deeper dive into those specialty areas, those 3 disciplines. So you'll only be required to take 1 discipline. You can't take the exam in any order. You can take a discipline and then take the core section, but you must take 4 sections, the 3 core sections, and 1 and only 1 discipline. Next slide. And I think I just covered this, the guiding principles. The core sections assess knowledge and skills of newly licensed CPAs that all entry-level CPAs should know. The disciplines focus on a deeper dive into those specialty knowledge. And if you're more comfortable in one particular discipline than the other, that would be the discipline that you would take. Now, what does the exam look like? The exam is designed for someone with 1 to 2 years of experience, and that has not changed, and that will not change. No new education is required. The same education that you have today is the same education that will be required with CPA evolution in order to take the exam. You must pass the 3 core sections along with one and only one discipline. Now, as Kyle mentioned, the 18-month rule will be changed to 30 months, January of 2025, correct, Kyle?
Oh, and so that's depending on the Board of Accountancy as soon as they adopt it. I know many are trying to, what we suggested was starting January 1st, 2024, going to that, but they have to, they have to put that in the rules. Credits are being extended anyways. If you have a valid credit as of January 1st, those are automatically being extended to June of 2025.
Right. So it's important that you at least have some information as to where you'll be taking the exam to make sure that that jurisdiction has adopted the credit extension. You do not have the option to pass an additional section, an additional discipline. You must pass one discipline and one discipline only. However, if you've taken, let's say, the TCP discipline and you failed that discipline, you can move to another discipline, but you're allowed to pass only one discipline. And the discipline passed does not differentiate the license you're granted. It's one CPA license as it is today. You will receive one CPA license regardless of the discipline passed. And here we have the cover page for the blueprint of the exam. The blueprint shows will show you the content and generally what's covered in each section of the exam. And move to the next slide. Now, as you can see here, this is the detailed example of what the blueprint looks like when you go further into the blueprint. Here we have Area 3 of the audit section of the exam. We have Area 3, which is performing further procedures and obtaining evidence. So that's Area 3. Then we have Group A, use of data and information. And we have a Topic 1, which is requesting, preparing, and transforming data. So that's how the blueprint is laid out. Now, on the right side, you can see representative task. We developed the exam, both multiple choice questions and our simulations, based on these representative tasks that you see here. As you can see, one of the tasks, the third one down, determine attribute structure, format, and sources of data needed when making a data extraction request to complete planned procedures. That's tested at the application skill level. So each item on the exam is assigned to a representative task and a skill level. So I encourage you to go to our blueprint, see what's actually tested on the exam and at what skill level. Now focus on data and technology. Data and technology concepts will be assessed in all core and discipline exam sections. Tasks will provide the necessary context on how technology is incorporated into the assessment. For example, the bar discipline includes outputs such as visualization, data analytic techniques. So in using technology, you will be able to use the information and analyze the information that we've provided to you using technology. Next slide. New content areas are primarily in ISC and TCP. And as you can see here, the ISC content areas, these are new content areas that were not previously tested on the exam. So these are new content. So we have IT infrastructure, we have SOC engagements, and we also have confidentiality and privacy. As I mentioned before, we all have our cell phones and our laptops, and we need to protect that information, especially if you're downloading or uploading information, you must protect that information. We also have in TCP, personal financial and tax planning, that will be assessed in the TCP discipline. For business analysis and reporting, those of you who are interested in financial statement audits, business analysis, analytics, technical accounting, financial reporting, you will focus the business analysis and reporting section will focus on those topics. And BAR, which is tested in one of the disciplines, will demonstrate at least a higher level knowledge of, let's say, business combinations. So the BAR section focuses on higher level knowledge that those of you who feel comfortable in those specific areas will focus on. And we also test state and local government accounting in the BAR section of the exam. So we test higher level knowledge in the discipline sections. For ISC, we'll be focusing on those of you who are interested in advisory services, and as I mentioned, information systems, IT, those of you who really love IT and those cybersecurity type skill set, ISC will be the discipline for you. ISC will focus on knowledge and skills newly licensed CPA must demonstrate in that specific area. And you will use data. We will provide you with the data, and you must be able to analyze and answer questions based on the information that we've provided. Tax compliance and planning, as I mentioned earlier, those of you interested in tax and personal financial planning, TCP, will be the discipline for you. You must demonstrate your knowledge of US federal tax compliance. So if you're not well versed in US federal tax compliance, you may not want to take this section. US federal tax planning as well for individuals and entities, and personal financial planning. Those will be tested in the TCP discipline. Now we have here the exam design. Each of the exam sections is still 4 hours in length for a total of 16 hours as it is today. Today the exam is 16 hours and that will not change. You have 4 hours for each of the core sections and 4 hours for the one discipline section that you must take and pass. You see here you have the number of multiple choice questions in each of the core sections and the disciplines, and the number of task-based simulations for each of the exam sections. And with respect to scoring, the scoring weighting is 50% multiple choice questions and 50% for discipline, except in the ISC section, where it's 60% multiple choice questions and 40% of your score will be in the task-based simulations. So this gives you an idea as to how the scoring is done. Now, the importance of an exam strategy, we always encourage you to make sure that you understand what your requirements are, what you need to do to prepare for the exam. You should learn about the exam and what it tests. As I mentioned earlier, it's important that you go to a blueprint, see exactly what content is tested and at what skill level. Manage your time wisely. You have 4 hours for each of the exam sections. You must manage that time. Form a support group. We always encourage our candidates to work in teams, and that will help support you in gaining a better feel for what you may be lacking, what questions or information you might need to improve on, because you may not understand a particular concept, but one of your colleagues might be able to assist you with understanding that information. And rely on the exam partners such as the AICPA and NASBA and Prometric as well, the testing site. Next slide. Now we have some candidate resources available to you. So I encourage you to use the resources that are available. You should go to the website that we have listed here, and all the resources that you need as it with respect to the CPA exam, you will find here. All the information that we're giving you today about the CPA exam that I'm giving you is found here at this website. I encourage you to go to a website. We also have a sample test that I encourage you to take the sample test before you take the actual exam. It's not a complete exam, it's a sample of what you will encounter when you take the actual exam. We have multiple choice questions, a number of multiple choice questions, and we also have task-based simulations. So at least you can become familiar with how all items are developed, how the options are presented on the exam, and what type of information is given with the task-based simulations. We have the STEM, and we may have exhibits or resources available to you with the task-based simulation. So I encourage you to go to our website, you go to our sample test and take the sample test before the actual exam.
Yep. And I'll add one thing to that. The layout and the functionality of how it will work will mimic that of the test center. So it's like almost like a test drive. You can become familiar with that aspect as well.
Yes. And this way to CPA provides you with helpful resources that you can find here. It gives profiles of real life CPAs, tips and advice from recent exam passers, people who have candidates who have taken and passed the exam will provide information there. We have a scholarship tool. You can go there, and we do have scholarships available. We have application for free AICPA student affiliate membership. You can find that information here as well. And user-generated reviews of review courses available to those preparing to take the exam. So this way, the CPA provides you with real live information, and more so from candidates who have actually taken and passed the exam. They might give you their strategy on what strategy they use to take the exam. So I encourage you to go to this website as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Adele.
Thank
Kyle,
you.
there are questions piling in now. So first and foremost, I know we're slightly above the half-hour mark. Adele, Kyle, do you have a few more minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, I do
Kyle?
on my end. I know I've got until the top of the hour on my end.
Okay, well, let's, I mean, that's a big ask, but let's see if we can get through a few of these questions between us. Some of them we will defer back to Pankaj and the FinTram team, but there's a few here which I think will be quite interesting. I think, Kyle, your inputs on some of these as well. I'm sure you get this a lot, Kyle. Next question is from Avika. I hope I said that right, Avika. I am practicing CA, but did not complete my bachelor's. So What's their eligibility like for the CPA? I know you get this a lot, Kyle, especially in India.
Yeah, so being a CA, having full membership, I assume started from foundation level through final exams. That could, you could still have an option because we do give credits for those CAs. Now I don't, to get into the details, like, you know, there's not a ton of jurisdictions with just only the CA, but like Montana is a good option if you did the full CA. If you have some of the BCom or the BBA, you know, submit that as well, because that will just even add more credit to that. But there is the potential. I know I've seen people come through with just the CA, and I would look closely into Montana if that's the case.
Helpful. Thanks a lot for that, Kyle. Avika, I think someone else also asked a question about the CA side of things, but I think bear those points in mind. I hope that's helped answer your question. I'm going to try to avoid questions around immigration and visa in terms of how the US CPA helps on that. Again, speak to Pankaj and the FinTram team, because I understand that is, you know, there's some things that are on people's minds. And of course, you're doing a US CPA qualification. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are thinking about this being a passport to practicing and working in the US. So I want to keep that away from today's topic. I want to focus a little bit about evolution, evaluation, those type of things. But we understand that's a legitimate question, but that also takes time to understand what you want from your career, those type of things. And then you'll get a much better answer from the counselors at FinTram.
I was seeing
Go on then, Pankaj.
I was seeing one question on YouTube, so I just wanted to bring that on table. I asked Kyle that, he's a BCom, and he gave us the two situation. He effectively said that I'm not from a NACA qualified college or a university, and I'm not there from the first division standpoint. So I'm just a BCom. And then he said that if I would have been an NACA qualified and got like first division, then in both the cases, can I just go and sit for CPA just basis the BCom? So effectively two questions coming in one.
Yeah. So with the NACA accreditation of that, so we do not give additional credits for that. So I compare that to, like, let's say Harvard in the United States versus your public university. We don't, Harvard may look better on your resume, but we don't give additional credits toward the CPA exam as a 3-semester credit course at Harvard versus a 3-semester credit course at the state college. That being said, with just the BCom, the three-year BCom, I don't want to throw a blanket over it, but it could be possible in a jurisdiction such as Montana, or if a bridge program, Guam is also a good option, because Guam will allow you to get started with that in progress or planned bridge program. And so that's my advice on that, because I've seen people with just the BCom be able to get their foot in the door with Montana. But if not, you could go through Guam and do the bridge program, because it all matters on the specific courses within the curriculum, because Montana wants audit, they want tax, they want financial, they want cost accounting, hope that helps a little bit. Even I couldn't give you a definite black and white answer.
It does, Kyle. And guys, just to let all of you know, while we're talking about the bridge course here, FinTram really provides that. So in case you're BCom and you're thinking about pursuing your CPA dream, reach out to us. I have provided my number over here. Our details are here. We can really help you out in terms of, which state, and of course, what's going to be the right process around it. Another thing, Kyle, which effectively, circles down to yourself is, I've seen one question coming on wherein he said that from 2024 onwards, and that's how the person structured, from 2024 onwards, we will get 30 months for clearing all the CPA exams. So is it better for me to go and register in 2024 rather than registering right now?
And I mean, it's personal preference. There is the fact that credits could get extended. They will get extended if you have them on January 1st, 2024 to June of 2025. But that's not 100% for sure as far as the jurisdictions go into 30 months. we've seen that gain traction, but we'll see what happens with that. And then there's also the possibility, like, we don't know if some will go retroactive. There could be some that say, we're starting now going forward. And there could be some that say, hey, if you passed it in 2023, we'll go back and give that credit 30 months. That's what we don't know. We're trying to track it, consolidate all the information for candidates. So that's something that is underway and that we're working on.
And look, I don't have statistics necessarily around the CPA qualification and to give evidence on this, but what I've seen from other professional qualifications is that the longer that you kind of spread your time, the less the chance of you actually going through that qualification is. And the point is, if you've got focus and you're going to have the best preparation here from FinTram, from Becker, and the guidance and stuff that's coming in here, focus is what's going to get you to pass those exams. The chances are, I know it feels good, 30 months versus 18 months, all the rest of it, but the reality is that if you're intense, you're focused, you've got a much better chance of passing this. And that's the mindset that you should have, I would recommend. Honestly speaking, psychologically, I know those numbers, there's a big difference in them, I completely understand. But trust me, as someone who's been in the education side, professional educations, when you're focused, you do it in a shorter period of time, that's when you've got a better chance. And you don't want to sacrifice too much for 30 months, right? If you can sacrifice it for 12 to 18 months, get it out the way, get your qualification, then enjoy your career and your life. Spreading it over 30 months, believe you me, sounds good, but it's not, it's going to be counterproductive.
Yeah. And I think maybe just having that as a crutch, if something bad happens, you do not pass the exact exam, or there's a life event that happens right before the 18 months, then you have that cushion. It goes to 30. But yeah, we've seen getting that career started. We've seen firms increase their presence in India, multinational companies having operations, and all, looking for someone that knows the US, can do the audits, US tax system. And we've seen a good increase in those companies coming to India over the last years for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So even having a CA and a US CPA, both highly sought after.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, we've got one on this call right now, Mr. Dhingra, living example of it, right? Cool. Is there any other kind of questions, Pankaj, that you found specifically that you think we need Kyle and Adele to respond to? Others, of course, your team and we can respond to later. I'm just trying to pick up a few here as well.
One goes to Adele, which is like some of the folks were asking that, what is the right sequence for taking exams now? Is there a right sequence, Adele, that you would want to call out?
The sequence is your preference. Some candidates prefer, let's say, to take maybe an easier section first that they will be very well versed in, because that will give them the boost to say, well, I know I can do this. And there are others who might want to take the most difficult section first. So it depends on your preference and what makes you feel most comfortable.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pat. I think sorry, Aziz, you were saying something.
No,
sorry.
You go, Pankaj. I'll.
I think one thing that I really want to add on to that, guys, is that especially if you're considering right now at this point in time, getting onto the CPA world, one suggestion I can have for you is that you should start off with the subject that is changing the least in 2024, which is nothing but audit right now at this point in time. The FAR and the regulation, they are really undergoing a change, and you would see a very different, or I would say less syllabus, in 2024. So the ideal start to your CPA journey right now, if you're thinking about, is gonna be audit, and then of course, we can of course follow the the rest, as you may find your strength on. But audit is gonna be the right start at this point in time.
Yeah, and I'm going to combine both those answers in a way, right? Because Of course, everyone's got their own backgrounds and experiences and those type of things. So you've got to take that into account. And I'm going to, I'm so glad that there's so many people on this call wanting to know about how to go about the CPA qualification and wanting to find out. You're doing exactly the right thing. Don't rush into any of these decisions, right? They're big decisions. And I think the other point is, if you speak to the right counselors and people like that you're going to get from organizations like FinTram, they're going to give you advice based on you as an individual, right? And that's the best way to do this. You can give a blanket answer, yes, FAR might be less content in 6 months under the new regime, ORD reg, try to get it done now, those type of things. Those are blanket ones, but you've got an opportunity here to get a personalized guidance here and personalized counseling. My advice is take that, then make your decision. You're right to ask these questions, keep on asking these questions, but don't expect to get a quick answer. Think it through, take good counsel. And I'm glad that you're here. This is what this is about. Take good counsel. These are huge decisions for the rest of your career and life. So get them right. But you're asking the right questions. And I love the questions here. There's so many of them. I'm not sure we're going to get through that many more right now, Pankaj, Kyle, and Adele.
And I think I'll only add one thing to what you said, Aziz. We are blessed guys that we have Kyle and we have Adele and we have, Azizes of the world sitting out here and really guiding you. I can tell you, I did my CPA 23 years back. I didn't even know, can I talk to someone in NASBA? Can I hear someone in NASBA? Can I hear or talk to someone in AICPA? It was just not possible at that point in time. It is just because of technology and the advents, what all has happened. And of course, with the kind of support that we have seen from NASBA and ACCA to really coming across, and working with, FinTram on this in terms of, sharing this to you, it is really possible for you. And you should really feel blessed for it, because coming from the horse's mouth, is really can make a big difference to you. We were not that blessed at that point in time. You are, my friend. Take the advantage of it. Take the advantage of it.
I think we should probably think about wrapping up now. I think everybody hopefully has got details. Kyle, Adele, thanks for sharing those kind of links and stuff like that. Pankaj, I saw in the chat that you put some contact details. Oh, I can see them right in front of me here. So that's important. Please, like I said before, make sure you take advantage of that. I do apologize to everyone who we didn't manage to answer all the questions for, but hopefully the ones that Kyle and Adele can input into, we've asked and we got responses to most of those. I'm going to hand over back to you, Pankaj, to say the thank yous, but I'm just going to say thank you to everyone who's attended today, to take the time out of their evenings on a Friday night. I'm sure there's other things that we could be doing on a Friday evening, but this is going to be important for all of you.
Big note of thanks to you, Kyle, Adele, Christian, and Aziz for really making time out. I think this is gonna be a game changer for many of the folks in deciding what is the right course of action for them. Guys, you do have our number and our details over here, and of course, do reach out to us. We have been working with so many students around the world, so many corporates around the world in terms of ensuring that they and of course their employees really sail through. We are also working with various big B schools and universities for really helping their students pursue their CPA dream and so on and so forth. We can really help you in terms of, finding out the right solution to your needs and of course, finding the right path for yourself to get yourself evaluated and start your CPA journey as soon as possible. Reach out to us, more than happy to help. We have a dedicated team for evaluation who is working day in and day out in terms of supporting the folks on ground, and we'll be more than happy to take your credentials and take this forward and have it done for you. Thank you very much to all for joining in, and thanks very much, Kyle, Adele, and everyone for joining us.
We should say, Kyle, Adele, any last words from your side?
I just want to say, start your journey. Like the folks at FinTram have said, the CPA credential is a very prestigious one, and it would set you apart from those who who do not have their CPA license. I encourage you to start your journey now.
Thank you.
Well said. I don't have anything else to add. Just good luck. I'm glad I could be here with you guys this evening, this afternoon, and my morning. I still have a day of work to go. So
I know.
Kyle, Adele, take the day off.
I'm going to another meeting.
Me
Thank
too.
you. Have a
Bye,
very nice
everyone.
week.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day. Thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you,
luck,
everyone.
everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.